Hello, my name is Margulis and I'm here to discuss a very important command in Photoshop, which is called apply image. It is not a new command because it's been there all the time since the very first versions of Photoshop, but it's still very useful today, and I hope I can convince you of that and that you should use it, especially in color correction. Let's start from something very simple, which is the basis of apply image, and that is copy and paste. I have a beautiful picture of a Tuscanian landscape in Italy here, and I have another picture here, which is a cutout of a very famous photographer who's a friend of mine as well. This is Lee Veris, and what I want to do is to composite Lee over the swimming pool. What am I going to do? Well, very easy. Select all, and this selects all the image. You see there is a transparency, so only the cutout figure of Lee is being copied, because I'm really now going to copy, then select the target document, Tuscanian landscape, and go edit, paste. This is a warning issued by Photoshop, which basically says that the color profiles of the source and destination document do not match. If you know what you're doing, you can decide not to convert the numbers and to preserve the numbers letting the color change. But most of the times what you want to do is to preserve the color appearance, so the default is OK, and you see convert and then OK. Photoshop says again, are you sure you want to convert the colors? Yes, I am, so OK again, and finally Lee appears here on the swimming pool. Of course, this is not a good compositing at the moment because Lee is far too big. I need to size it down, maybe a bit more. I can move it around, say place it here, but it is a good starting point because you see I have a layer which now contains Lee's figure, and I have a background which is still untouched, so a typical compositing. What I want to do now is to show you another way of doing this. So I will delete this layer and create a new one, which is now empty of course, and use another command which is not copy and paste but apply image. It is in the image menu and you can find it down here. Apply image, and all of a sudden Lee appears again. How is this possible? Because apply image is a command which is made to copy, move and rearrange things around documents in Photoshop in a very sophisticated way. There are two limitations to the command which you should always carry in mind, and I'm going to show them to you now. Let's hit cancel for a second and see three of the documents that I have open at the moment. One is Tuscanian landscape, which you already seen, and this is Lee Veris cutout, and this is another version, Lee Veris for apply image. Which is the difference between this version and the one I used for the copy? Simply the size. Let me show you. If I go and look at the image size, you see that width and height of the image has a certain value in pixels. If I go back to the original image and do the same, you see completely different values. And if I go back again to the Tuscanian landscape and look at the image size, I see that the size of the target image, the destination where I am going to apply the source, which is the second version of Lee you've seen, has exactly the pixel dimensions of the document I'm going to apply. Why? Because apply image can only work between documents which share exactly the same pixel size, so basically same width and same height. That's the reason why when I go and apply image, you've seen three open documents, but only two of them are identical as far as the size is concerned. One is, of course, Tuscanian landscape, which is the one I'm working on, and the other one is Lee Veris for apply image. How did I do this? I simply took the original cutout figure and enlarged the canvas so that it has the same size in pixels. You cannot select as a source the original picture of Lee Veris because the size is not the same. So this is one of the constraints in apply image. There is another one, maybe a bit less important, but the two documents should have the same bit depth. That is, they must be both in 8 bits or 16 bits. Let's try if this really doesn't work with apply image. You see, this document I have open is RGB and 8 bits per channel, and the other one I'm using which is this one, is as well mode, RGB color, 8 bits per channel. I'm now converting this to 16 bits per channel, go back to the Tuscanian landscape, apply image, and you see, nothing happens. I can't select it anymore. It's disappeared because the bit depth is different. So, if you have different bit depths in documents, what you have to do is to convert them to the same numbers, and then everything will work. So, let's go back here. I think I can undo it again. Let's check 8 bits per channel. Fantastic. So, Tuscanian landscape, you see now, apply image, and everything works. So, the structure of this window, we have a source, because apply image requires you to choose the destination first, and then what you want to apply onto the destination. If you have different layers, you will be able to choose from them. Merged is what you see, basically, and Lee, which is the same in this case, is the only layer available in the document I've selected. You can apply different channels. RGB, this means, of course, the composite channel, the color image if you wish, but I could as well apply the red channel. You see, the image is grayscale now, as far as Lee is concerned, or the green channel, or the blue channel. I'll do it again with a bit of zooming maybe, so that you can see that everything really changes when I switch channels. You see, the red is lighter in the skin, as it has to be, and this is the green, and this is the blue. Okay? So this is very powerful. Can you imagine doing this, having to select a channel, copy it, move on to another document, paste it, and all the stuff. But there is more. It's not very interesting in this case, but I can choose a blend mode, which is different from normal. Before doing that, let's have a look at the opacity. I could apply this at 50% opacity, so have a black and white ghost of Lee Veris over the landscape. And you probably have noticed that I have blending here, and I'm going to discuss that in a while. But the most important thing I have to remark, which is extremely useful for us, and I'll show you an example later, is that while we are confined to using documents which have the same pixel size and the same bit depth, there is absolutely no constraint about the color space. I mean, if I converted the photograph of Lee to, say, LAB, I could easily apply the B channel from LAB onto RGB. Why is this needed, you may ask? Well, it can be very useful at times. Okay, so now cancel, and let's do something interesting now. We need to apply image, and I really want to try to do something interesting with this compositing and show you how powerful this command can be. Okay, this is exactly what I want, Lee Veris on the landscape. Now, I could get some criticism, and Lee could come to me and say, okay, this is a relatively nice picture, but I would like to have more dramatic sky. How can you do that? Of course, you know how we can do that. We can simply use the red channel in luminosity mode. This is the red, this is the green, and this is the blue. You remember that the red channel is the most interesting in landscapes most of the times. Of course, channels can be the channels of the landscape alone, because we are working on layers. But what I want to do here is something to show you that we are not limited to staying in the same color space. And what I'm going to do may possibly look strange, but it has a reason. I'm going to duplicate this image, and I'm going to call this Tuscanian landscape CMYK, because that's the color space where I'm going. Let me, in this version, get rid of Lee, because I don't need it. I just want to work on the background. And I'm going to convert this to CMYK. It's not very important which profile at the moment. What I'm going to show you is this. The cyan channel is very, very interesting in the sky. Magenta a bit less, yellow not at all, black even less. But I can think about using the cyan channel as a source of blend into the original RGB image. Let's see how. So this is the converted version. I go back to the original. Now, I need a duplicate copy of the background, and this is the easy way to do it, Command J or Ctrl J if you're on a PC. I'm going now to delete this layer, create a new one, and what I want to do is apply image with the Tuscanian landscape selected. The layer is the background, otherwise I'm copying Lee as well, and this is not what I want, and the channel is RGB, of course, the composite color image. blending normal, 100% opacity. Click OK, and what we have here is an identical copy of the background. You see, I remove Lee, I remove the background, and it's the same picture. Why did I do so? Because what I want to do now here is apply the cyan channel from the CMYK version we just made. So, again, apply image, Tuscanian landscape CMYK, OK, cyan. Lee is untouched because I'm working on an intermediate layer, and I want to do this in darken mode so that only the parts in the channel that are darker than the image are copied. So blend mode, OK, and this of course has to go into luminosity mode. This is a bit of a harsh effect maybe, because this is the original, this is what I obtained, it's a lot more dramatic. But I always have the opacity, I can turn it down to say 40, maybe 50%, and this is the final result, okay? So, you've seen me apply image a few times. The first time I composited Lee onto the image, the second time I duplicated the layer by apply image, just for teaching you how it works, and then I've taken a channel from an apparently unrelated document which has the same size, it's in a different color space, and I used it for a luminosity blend, which is quite interesting in the sky, as you see. So this is my final version. Well, it is not, because sometimes people say, well, I don't like that you never finished an image, so apart from the sky maneuver, this is my finished image. We put some sun on Lee, and there is a reflection as well, so we've been going from the landscape to the composite to the light effect and finally the reflection in the water. And I think this can be called a final composite. In the previous example, we've seen an application of apply image between two different color spaces, namely RGB and CMYK. I'm now going to do something different, and I'll show you how you can knock out blue screen with just basically one move in RGB if you take a channel from lab, which is apparently very difficult, but it's extremely easy when you work with apply image. So this is the picture we are going to work on. You can clearly recognize that there is a blue screen behind the model. I'm going to duplicate this image, and I will call it an LAB version, because I will show you my favorite method to knock out a blue screen based on the consideration that, at least in this case, it's the only seriously blue thing in the picture. Of course, if you look carefully, there are some reflections here on the motorcycle, and even the nails of the model have a hint of blue or cyan, how you call it. Anyway, the most important thing we need to get rid of is, of course, the background. Why did I choose lab? I'm going to show you. We have two versions of the picture, they are the same size, so they are good candidates for apply image, because we need the same pixel size. Select the duplicated image and go image mode LAB. You don't see any change, but the structure of channels has changed completely. This is the lightness, that is the L. This is the A channel, which is not very interesting to us, but this is the B channel, and we are very interested in the B channel because it has an enormous amount of contrast for the B channel, of course, between what is blue and what is not. Let me show you one of the interesting things. The blue is a so-called cold color. Everything else in the picture is either warm, that is the skin, or basically neutral, that is the dress and the motorcycle. So blue falls in a category of its own. If you remember the structure of the B channels, you can easily see what happens when I select a channel and use this trick like edit, fill, and use 50% gray, which is sort of the middle point of the B channel where neutrals are, in darken mode. What happens is that the model disappears completely, it becomes basically a uniform gray, and by simply using auto levels on this image, I have a mask which is almost ready. I am not going to show you the LAB picture because all the colors exploded, but I'm not interested in that because I have the original RGB. This only has a background, so I need to unlock it first if I want to apply a layer mask, which is what I'm going to use to select basically and cut out the model. I can alt-click on the mask is completely white because this is how it was created, and I can apply image on this target, this destination, which is the mask, from anything basically now. So from the LAB version, I'm going to apply the modified B channel, and you see on the right, this is the LAB version, on the left, this is the layer mask. They are identical, okay? So let's just see where we are. It's a very good result for a start. Just to give you an idea, I will create a new layer and fill it with black, the background, and you can see the effect of the layer mask. It's not perfect yet, but we are getting there. And we can refine the layer mask. You see, it's not completely black here, by using, in a clever way, apply image and blend modes. For instance, if I apply image to the layer mask from the original file, I can choose layer 0, I can choose layer mask, so I am applying the mask itself in overlay mode, which darkens everything that is darker than 50% gray and lightens everything else. I have an almost perfect mask. And if you want to see a nifty trick of how you can clean up a mask like this, it's very easy. We have a basically 100% black here, and we can simply select a brush tool of white color in overlay mode and go and paint quickly over everything that is not black without being afraid of ruining the dark, because overlay mode, nothing happens when I paint white over black. So, except for a few points that I will need to retouch manually, as far as I'm concerned, this mask, this is coming as well, this mask is almost perfect. I probably will need to work a bit more on the hair, but that is normal, and this is the final result, okay? You see that there are parts of blue reflections. This is unavoidable, that we need to take care of. But basically, we went from here to here with just one apply image first, and then a second apply image in overlay mode on a mask that was already very good. So to finish, 3 important things. The first one, go back to the beginning of the video and look at the section where I copied from one document and pasted onto another. Do you remember there was a warning from Photoshop about changing the colors? That is color management implemented now in Photoshop. Apply image is not that kind. Apply image simply moves the numbers, and so it is possible, if you're working on composite layers, that the color changes as long as the color profiles of your documents are not identical. So be careful about that. Second, I'm going to show you just the interface of a very similar command to apply image, which is as old as it is, and it's called calculations. It's under the menu image, calculations, and you can see that it has basically the same interface. The only serious difference about calculations is that it doesn't work on an existing channel usually, but on a new channel, or even a new document, or even a selection. I'll tell you, most of the time when you are going to use it, if you're going to use it, you are going to use a new channel, but as far as the rest is concerned, we can select a certain source, another source, and a layer in the sources. The constraints are the same, so same bit depth, same size in pixels, and we have blend modes. It's exactly a cousin, let's say, of apply image, just a bit more complex, but it's the same command in the end. And if you look forward, you can see that apply image sometimes can be a substitute for the channel mixer. I'm not going into that, but my suggestion is you can do more in apply image than the channel mixer because you have blend modes readily available, and if you are clever and an experienced user of Photoshop, you can do things with apply image which seem impossible at the start. So this is the end of my video about this command apply image. If you need more information, you will find, of course, everything in the Photoshop documentation. And thank you for listening. Bye bye. See you soon.